one of the main things that's really in the world today that we really got to focus on is being unapologetically ourselves. Because a lot of times we're not ourselves. A lot of times we're worried about trying to keep up with everybody else and what everybody's doing. Trying to be, like-minded, which is fine, but you still got to be deeper within that core. And a lot of times we're not deep within the core. We're always trying to figure out, following whatever trends and things like that. And what that does, that basically disrupts the spirit. And we don't need that. We need to stay on course with what makes us feel good, what makes us us, just our identity as a whole. Like, that's important. Like, as a man, a lot of us men out here, we don't have no identity. And, that sucks, especially if you raised in a single father household or a single family household. And you just don't really, have any good type of role models in your life. And you kind of going with the flow of things. And at the end of the day, that just starts to affect everything, you know what I mean? Things just start to go a down spiral. I'm sure all the men that grew up and you didn't really have anybody, or your let's say your role models are basically the dope boys and stuff like that. So now you walking around and you think that that is the definition of a man, at least in your mind. Or you just raised to get a bunch of women and you think getting a bunch of women will fulfill your life. And at the end of the day, that's really not going to fulfill your life. It's just going to leave you more empty. And a lot of times you're trying to fill a void messing with all those type of women. So as men, we got to identify with what really brings us peace. And as you really get in touch with yourself as a man, you realize that those things that we were told really don't matter. The women, the money matters, but like to use money to try to get what you want is something that is a whole different problem. Because if you really are genuine yourself, you'll attract the right type of people and they'll like you for you. If people like you based off transaction, because at the end of the day, it's transactional on energy. So if people like you just for what you give them, then what happens when you don't give them anything? They're not going to mess with you anymore. So as men, we got to make sure that we stay in touch with what, like I said, what really means, what's our core, what's your core values. And another thing is every man is different. Every man is different in their own unique way. Like every man is not supposed to be the same. And if you sit here and ask a man, what's his core values, it shouldn't be the same as the next man. And it shouldn't be the same as it was 40, 50 years ago from our uncles and our grandpas and things like that. Everything is different. It's a whole different time. So you got to find out what really moves you, what's your purpose, what's your why. You got to stick to it regardless of what the world says, because would you rather be at peace with the world and war with yourself, or would you rather be at peace with yourself and war with the world? A lot of times we got to think about that, because a lot of times we don't, because it matters at the end of the day. Peace.